I was sitting in a courtroom watching my husband laugh while signing our divorce papers, and somehow I was the calmest person in the room. That was the part he never understood. Michael had always believed I was fragile, independent, the kind of woman who needed a man like him to survive. To him, I was just a small-town girl he had taken, polished, and placed neatly inside his world. That was the story he told people. Over time, it became the story everyone believed, including him. From the outside, our marriage looked perfect. He was successful, polished, respected. I was quiet, supportive, and exactly what people expected a wife in his position to be. But behind that image, everything was controlled. Not loudly, not violently, just constantly. Every decision I made had to pass through him first. Every opinion I had was corrected, softened, or dismissed before it could fully exist. If I liked something, he improved it. If I wanted something, he reframed it. If I questioned him, he made me feel irrational for asking. "You're not built for this level," he would say, almost kindly. That's why I handle things. That was his real power. Not money, not status, not even the house with its clean lines and expensive silence. It was the way he trained me to mistrust myself. He made me second-guess my instincts, my judgment, even my memory. And for a long time, I let him. Not because I believed he was stronger, because I needed him to keep believing I was weaker. By the time he filed for divorce, he thought he already knew how the story ended. He thought I would be humiliated, financially cornered, and too broken to fight back. He had no idea I had spent years preparing for the exact moment he thought would destroy me. The control didn't happen overnight, and that was exactly why it worked. If it had been obvious, I would have resisted. I would have questioned it, pushed back, maybe even left. But Michael never gave me something clear enough to fight against. Instead, he built it slowly, layer by layer, until it felt normal. At first, it sounded like care. "You don't need to stress about work. I can take care of everything. You should enjoy your life more." And I believed him, because it didn't feel like losing control. It felt like gaining stability. I stopped working as much. Then I stopped working entirely. My income disappeared. But it didn't seem to matter, because everything I needed was already provided. At least, that's what I told myself. But over time, the dynamic shifted in ways I didn't notice at first. Access to money became structured, not restricted, just managed. I didn't handle accounts anymore. I didn't make financial decisions. Everything important passed through him. And every time I questioned it, the answer was always the same. "You're overthinking. You're being emotional. You don't understand how this works." He never raised his voice. He didn't need to, because the goal wasn't to silence me. It was to make me silence myself. That's what made it dangerous. I started second-guessing everything. My instincts, my reactions, even my own memory. If something felt wrong, I assumed I was misinterpreting it. If I felt uncomfortable, I told myself I was overreacting. That's how he rewrote my reality. Not by controlling what happened, but by controlling how I understood it. And his family reinforced it in quieter ways. The way they spoke over me. The way they excluded me from conversations that mattered. The way they treated me like I was temporary. Like I was someone who had been allowed into their world. Not someone who belonged there. Michael never corrected them. Because he agreed. That was the moment something shifted. I stopped trying to prove I deserved to be there. And started realizing I didn't need to be there at all. If someone was slowly taking control of your life like this, would you leave immediately, or stay quiet and take back control without them ever noticing? Comment your move. I didn't decide to leave in a single moment. There was no explosion. No argument. No breaking point where everything suddenly made sense. It was quieter than that. It started with observation. Once I stopped trying to prove myself to him, I had space to actually see what was happening. The patterns became clearer. The way decisions were made without me. The way money moved in ways I didn't fully understand. The way control was hidden behind language that sounded reasonable. And for the first time, I stopped reacting. I started learning. Not in a way he could notice. Not in a way that would threaten the version of me he believed in. Quietly. Carefully. I began taking small consulting work again. Telling him it was just something to keep myself occupied. Something light. Something that didn't matter. He didn't question it. Because he didn't think it mattered. That was his mistake. What he didn't realize was that I wasn't just working. I was rebuilding. I learned how financial structures worked. How assets could be separated. How ownership could exist without visibility. I studied everything he had once made me feel, incapable of understanding. And I kept it completely separate from him. No shared accounts. No shared visibility. No trace that connected it back to our marriage. Because the goal wasn't just independence, it was control. My control. The more he believed I was still dependent on him, the more freedom I had to build something real. And slowly, over time, it worked. What started as something small turned into something stable. Then something significant. Income became assets. Assets became leverage. And leverage became protection. All while he continued believing the same thing he always had. That I needed him. That I didn't understand. That I wasn't capable. By the time I finished building what I needed, I wasn't just prepared to leave. I was prepared for him to leave first. By the time the affair started, I wasn't surprised. That was the strange part. There was no shock. No disbelief. Just confirmation of something I had already felt long before I had proof. Michael didn't end things. He replaced them. That was his pattern. He didn't create conflict. He avoided it. He slowly disconnected, redirected his attention, and built something new before letting go of the old. Clean, controlled, efficient. And I could see it happening in real time. The late nights became more frequent. The excuses became easier. The way he spoke to me shifted. Not colder. Just absent. Like I was already something he had moved past. And still, I said nothing. Because reacting would have changed everything. And I needed everything to stay exactly the same. So I watched. I paid attention to the details. The names. The schedules. The inconsistencies he thought I wouldn't notice. And when I finally confirmed it, I didn't confront him. I adapted. Because this wasn't a betrayal. It was timing. If I had exposed it, he would have controlled the outcome. He would have rewritten the narrative. Positioned himself as reasonable. And forced me into reacting on his terms. I couldn't allow that. So I stayed quiet. I let him believe I didn't know. I let him move forward exactly the way he wanted. Until he made the final move himself. I think it's time we move on, he said one night. Calm. Almost detached. Like this was mutual. Like this was inevitable. And then he smiled. That same confident smile that had carried him through every situation where he believed he was ahead. That was the moment everything locked into place. Because he thought he was ending the story. He thought this was the part where I lost. What he didn't understand was something simple. I had already moved past him. The only thing left was letting him believe he was still in control. By the time we reached the courtroom, Michael was completely at ease. Relaxed. Confident. Almost amused. Like this was just another situation he had already won before it even began. He barely looked at me when we sat down. He didn't need to. In his mind, there was nothing left to evaluate. The outcome was already decided. I was the dependent one. The one without leverage. The one who would walk away with whatever he decided was fair. And that belief made him careless. That was the only reason any of this worked. Because he never questioned the version of me he had created. When the proceedings started, everything followed the structure he expected. Assets were listed. Accounts were reviewed. His side was presented first. Clean, controlled, predictable. He stayed calm, still smiling, until my documents were introduced. At first, nothing changed. Just more paperwork, more numbers, more details that he assumed didn't matter. Then the shift happened. It wasn't dramatic. It was subtle. A pause. A second look. A question from his lawyer that hadn't been part of the plan. Because the numbers didn't align with his assumptions. Not even close. Independent accounts. Separate income streams. Business entities he had never heard of. And all of it? Legally structured. Documented. Untouchable. For the first time, Michael actually looked at me. Not casually. Not confidently. Carefully. Like he was trying to figure out where he had missed something. That was the moment the control shifted. Not when the judge spoke. Not when the numbers were confirmed. But when he realized he didn't understand what he was looking at. Because the narrative he had relied on for years didn't match reality anymore. And for the first time, he wasn't ahead. He was catching up. Too late. The silence in the courtroom didn't happen all at once. It spread. Slowly. From confusion to doubt to realization. Because what was being presented wasn't just unexpected. It was impossible to ignore. My business. My investments. My assets. All separate. All documented. All legally protected in ways that made them completely outside of his reach. And the deeper they went into it, the clearer it became. This wasn't something recent. This wasn't luck. This had been built over time. Carefully. Deliberately. Right in front of him. And he had never seen it. For the first time since I had known him, Michael stopped smiling. It wasn't dramatic. It was subtle. But it was real. His posture shifted. His focus sharpened. His expression changed from confidence to calculation. Because now he wasn't controlling the situation anymore. He was trying to understand it. And failing. That was the moment everything flipped. Not when the judge confirmed the numbers. Not when the final statements were read. But when he looked at me and realized something was fundamentally wrong with everything he believed. That the version of me he had controlled for years was never real. I hadn't changed. I had just stopped playing the role he needed me to stay in. And now, without that role, he had nothing to hold on to. No leverage. No narrative. No control. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. Because this was never about proving him wrong. It was about letting him see the truth. Too late to fix it. Too late to change it. Too late to control it. He thought filing for divorce was the moment he would finally win. But standing there, watching everything unfold, he understood something he had never considered before. He hadn't been ahead. He had been blind. And by the time he finally saw clearly, everything was already over. So, what do you think is staying quiet and winning in the end? The smartest move? Or should I have walked away sooner? Drop your answer below. And if you want more stories like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one.